Recognizing the increasing role of technology in national security and economic development, India and the UK have embarked upon a new technology security initiative which will be coordinated by the national security advisors of the two countries, the Ministry of External Affairs said Wednesday. The voter grumbles something in French and it certainly is not bonjour. On any other Wednesday morning, the chic brasserie near the bank of the river Seine would have had waves of customers flowing in and out, but a lockdown that reminds him the pandemic a part of the strict security measures before Friday's opening ceremony means business is slow and the surveyors' tip have dried up, so he is grumpy. And he is not the only one. The games are here and the locals seem tasty. Then again, Simon Cooper issues a tongue-in-cheek alleging discrimination in the union budget against states ruled by non-NDA parties. The opposition staged angry protests inside and outside Parliament Wednesday, drawing a sharp response from Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman, who rejected charge as outrageous. Members of the opposition India bloc first protested outside the Makar Dwar. It's the entrance used by the MPs to enter the Parliament building. Then during question hour in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they raised slogans alleging injustice to opposition-ruled states before staging a walkout from the two houses. The members, however, returned later and participated in question hour and zero-hour proceedings. Amid pushback from several quarters against the capital gains tax regime announced in Budget 24-25, government official Wednesday said the tax rate without indexation on unlisted capital assets, including property, may not be beneficial only in cases where the annual appreciation has been lower than 9 to 11%. In all other cases, officials said that their internal estimates suggest the new tax rate without indexation would be beneficial. Industry players and analysts, however, countered this view amid apprehensions the new regime without indexation benefit is likely to result in higher frequency of secondary market real estate sales, as people would not want to hold on to assets beyond 3 to 5 years. It may also result in the use of more cash in property transactions, they argued. Nominal real estate returns are generally in the region of 12 to 16% per annum, much higher than inflation. The indexation for inflation in the region of 4 to 5% depending on the period of holding. Therefore, substantial tax savings are expected to a vast majority of such taxpayers, a government official said. The new tax rate without indexation is beneficial in most cases. For property held for 5 years, the new regime is beneficial when a property has appreciated 1.7 times or more. For property held for 10 years, it is beneficial when the value has increased to 2.4 times or more. For property purchased in 2009 or 10, if values has increased to 4.9 times or more, it is beneficial. Only where returns are low, 11, that the earlier tax rate is beneficial, but such low returns in the real estate are unrealistic and rare, the official said. Lieutenant Governor V.K. Saxena on Wednesday effected the transfer of over half a dozen senior Indian Administrative Service and Delhi, Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli services officers across departments under the Delhi government as well as those beyond its jurisdiction. In the transfer and postings announced by the Delhi Government Service Department, 6 IAS officers who were part of the overhaul were awaiting postings and belonged to the Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram and Azimut or Central Cadre and batches from 96 to 2008. After the passage of the Government of National Capital Territory of India Act 2023, the transfer and postings of all IAS and DANIX officers were done by the 3-member National Capital Civil Services Authority. The body The body, which is chaired by the Delhi Chief Minister and has the Delhi Chief Secretary as well as Principal Secretary Home as the remaining two members, has the power to recommend the transfer, posting and vigilance matters related to all IAS and DENIX officers in the capital, and last met in January this year. A senior government official said that the appointments made on Wednesday fell under the sole purview of the LG Secretariat. Bureaucratic sources said the Delhi government was also consulted on the postings. A. Anbarasu, a 96 batch IAS officer of the Azimut cadre, who held three significant charges including that of the Principal Secretary, Public Works Department, Trade and Taxes as well as the CEO of Delhi Jal Board, was relieved of the charge of Principal Secretary, Trade and Taxes. Nikhil Kumar, a 2000 batch IAS Azimut cadre, has been posted as the Secretary, Land and Building. A 2008 batch officer Chanchal Yadav was been posted as the Secretary, Home. Aarti Lal Sharma of the 10 batch has been posted in the Delhi Development Authority, while Jitendra Yadav of the 10 batch has been posted as the Additional Commissioner in the Municipal Corporation of Delhi. Ravi Jha of the 11 batch has been posted as the Deputy Commissioner. Marathe Onkar Gopal, a 2008 batch DENIX officer, has been posted as the MCD as well. As part of the exercise, 2009 batch Azimut cadre IAS officer Krishna Mohan Uppu, who was posted as Excise Commissioner and had the additional charge as the Secretary of New Delhi Municipal Council, was relieved of the former charge and given full charge of Secretary NDMC. Intense spell of rain in several parts of the capital in the early hours on Wednesday caused waterlogging, traffic snarls and uprooting of trees. Meanwhile, residents in the city grappled with high humidity levels. The IMD has issued a yellow alert for the capital till Thursday. The maximum temperature recorded on Tuesday was 36 degrees Celsius, which was a notch above normal, and minimum temperature on Wednesday was 24 degrees, which is 2.5 notches below normal. A sum of rupees 1100 crore has been allocated for the installation of the automatic train protection system Kavach in the financial year, Railways Minister Ashwini Vaishnav said in a written reply in the Lok Sabha on Wednesday. Responding to the questions raised by DMK MPs and on the details regarding the funds allocated and utilized for installation of Kavach system in the country, Vaishnav said the funds utilized on Kavach work so far is 1200 crore. The allocation of funds during the year is 1100 crore. Kavach is an indigenous automatic train protection system. Kavach aids the loco pilot in returning the train within specified speed limits by automatic application of brakes, Vaishnav said. On a day the opposition protested against alleged discrimination towards non-NDA states, Vaishnav gave a detailed account of railway projects in Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is a very important state. This is a historic budget allocation for development of the state, he said. A day after Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented the budget, opposition parties in Rajya Sabha accused for Centre for splurging on the ally-ruled Andhra Pradesh and Bihar at the cost of their state. They also said the government had failed to address crucial issues such as inflation and unemployment. Leading the discussions was former Finance Minister and senior Congress leader P. Chidambaram. I am particularly happy that she had an opportunity to read the Congress manifesto. I would urge friends on treasury benches to read the Congress manifesto so that in your party meetings you can persuade the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister to take some more ideas from our manifesto, he said. Chidambaram also took issue with Sitharaman's brief mention of inflation. The Finance Minister dismissed the subject of inflation in 10 words. WPI inflation is 3.4%, CPI inflation is 5.1%, food inflation is 9.1%. Go into the hinterlands of India, the inflation is much higher, he said. The Congress MP also put forward 5 demands to the government: a daily minimum wage of 400 rupees, legal guarantee of minimum support price, a crore demand for protesting farmers, a write-off of the unpaid balance of education loans till March, removal of the Agnipath scheme and scrapping of NEET of states that do not want it. Chidambaram also said that before April 24, the BJP did not act upon demands made by Bihar, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. just because the political leadership changed in these states. BJP instantly changed its attitude, he said. India Bloc ally TMC alleged that India is more unequal now than in the 1920s during colonial rule. MP Sagarika Ghosh said Andhra Pradesh and Bihar are receiving the largest only because they have allied with the NDA. BJD MP Sujit Kumar also said Andhra Pradesh and Bihar received a budget bonanza. We don't begrudge this budget bonanza for Bihar and Andhra Pradesh. But why the step-motherly treatment for other state, he said. The BJP and its allies sought to blunt the opposition attack. Assam Gana Parishad MP Birendra Prasad Beshya said the success of any economic policy depends on agriculture, services and benefits, adding that the government has given equal importance to manufacturing, the agricultural sector and services. BJP MP from UP Radha Mohan Das Agrawal read out in indices to explain that India is moving ahead at a great speed. The opposition is acting like they are not seeing it. And the PM Modi is lifting the people of India from poverty, particularly multi-dimensional poverty, he said. Shiv Sena MP Milind Deora said government should direct its actions to create onshore jobs lost to China, rework supply chains and reduce dependence on countries that can become hostile and greening the economy. Before the opposition walked out of the Rajya Sabha in protest against the budget, accusing the BJP-led government of prioritizing the only Bihar and Andhra Pradesh, Rajya Sabha Chairman Jagdeep Dhankhar urged leaders of the opposition Mallikarjun Kharge to allow Finance Minister Sitharaman to respond. Kharge said, मैं बोल देता हूँ, माताजी बोलने में तो एक्सपर्ट है, मुझे मालूम है. To which Dhankar responded, she is more like your daughter, sending a wave of laughter among the members on both sides of the aisle. India successfully flight tested the second phase of the ballistic missile defense system Wednesday. The target missile was launched at 4:20 p.m., mimicking an adversary ballistic missile from launching complex 4 at Abdul Kalam Island off coast of Odisha. It was detected by weapon system radar and the AD interceptor system was activated according to a government statement. The interceptor AD endo-atmospheric missile was launched at 4:24 p.m. from launching complex 3 at Chandipur. The flight testfully met all the trial objectives, validating a complete network-centric warfare weapon system consisting of long-range sensors, low latency communication system and MCC and advanced interceptor missiles, the statement said. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh complimented the DRDO for successful flight test and stated it has again demonstrated India's ballistic missile defense capability. DRDO Chief Dr. Sameer V. Kamath congratulated the entire team for the untiring effort and contribution. A soldier and a militant have been killed in fierce gunfight in North Kashmir's Kupwara on Wednesday, the Indian Army said. The gunfight began Tuesday evening when a joint team of Army and Jammu and Kashmir police launched a search and cordon operation after receiving intelligence reports about militant movement in the higher reaches of Lolab Valley in Kupwara. This is the second gunfight in the UT in the last 24 hours. According to the Army, a joint team of police and Army spotted suspected militants near Trimukha Top in Lolab during a search operation late on Tuesday, leading to an exchange of fire. The operation was halted briefly as it grew darker but resumed Wednesday morning after hiding militants opened fire on the joint team. Based on input, a joint search operation was launched by Indian Army and JNK Police on days leading up to 23rd and 24th July, the Army's Chinar Corps posted on X. On July 24, suspicious movement was observed and challenged by vigilant troops, in response to which terrorists opened fire in the ensuing firefight. One terrorist has been eliminated and a NCO injured. The army personnel has been identified as Nayak Dilawar Khan. Police sources said he belonged to the artillery unit of the army. All ranks of the Chinar Corps salute the supreme sacrifice of our brave heart Nayak Dilawar Khan, who laid down his life in the line of duty. The army posted on X, Chinar warriors salute his immense valor and sacrifice, express deepest condolence, and stand in solidarity with the bereaved family. According to sources, the operation is still ongoing and that there could be one more militant hiding in the area. Police suspect that the militant had recently infiltrated into the valley from Kupwada sector. According to security sources, Lolab in Kupwada is a transit point for infiltrating militants with a dense forest that connects it to Bandipur, Ganderbal and Srinagar. It also connects with Sapor and Baramulla district. Asepia Hinduism. Its current reinvention in terms of purity and impurity owes a great deal to transformation in the cultures of nostalgia. Hinduism is a religion with an impressive textual tradition, but the religion that is practiced rarely draws upon its holy books. Unlike the Bible and the Quran, the Ramayana and the Mahabharata are not instructions on proper ways of being devout. They are expensive stories about the multiple possibilities of being good and the frequently blurred distinctions between good and evil. Depending on their behavior, demons can become saint and saintly persons can be brought down. Just as caste in India does not follow a pan-Indian template, Brahmins in Punjab and Haryana do not enjoy social and cultural dominance. Hinduism too does not derive or earlier sought to derive legitimacy from a set of written rules. In a society where the Hindu Jajman was just as happy to extract services from Hindu as well as Muslim service providers, there could be no weight of strictly adhering to a self-contained Hindu world. Muslim barbers, tailors and drummers constituted and completed the works of Hindu rituals and festivities. The recent edict by the UP police stated by the Supreme Court that restaurants along the covered route across the state must carry the name of the owner so that the purity of the pilgrim's faith remains intact is little more than a reinvention of Hinduism. It is nothing to do with its everyday life and actual history, either that or a religion that for hundreds of years has been robust health, even though Muslims have been integral to its key ritual and worship practices, had suddenly become fragile and in need of protection. The first budget of the third term of the National Democratic Alliance reflected the changed political reality of the government but was far from the economic reality of the country. The change in political circumstances after the elections meant that the allies crucial for the government's survival found the necessary mention, but it was still short of what they expected. But a post-election budget was also an opportunity for the government to reset the fiscal paradigm, to usher in a process of reforms for the economy, still recovering from the slowdown of the first term and the pandemic-induced shocks of the second term. There is a consensus that despite the recovery, the economy is suffering from deficient demand, contributing to a slowdown in consumption growth, tepid private investment and precarious exports. In effect, all three sources of demand, private consumption, investment and export, require a serious push for growth to be sustainable. The reason behind deficient demand are well known. Most indicators of income and earnings in the last decade suggest either stagnation in real earnings or worse, decline. According to the periodic labor force surveys, real earnings of regular workers have been declining since 2011 and 12. Labor Bureau data on wages show a decline in real wages in non-farm occupations, with agricultural wages are almost stagnant. Recent reports on the unorganized sector also suggest a decline in real earnings. Cultivation incomes have barely increased by 1% per annum in the last decade. Together, these account for almost 3/4 of workers in the economy. The only remit for this budget should have been to find ways to raise the earnings of these workers. In reality, there is not even a recognition of the crisis of earnings in the economy. The rural economy has been in distress for almost a decade. It has now spilled over to urban areas. Depleting household savings and non-collateralized retail loans are fueling whatever little consumption growth is visible. The finance minister did not have to look for solutions. Its own economic survey argues for the necessity of agricultural growth for sustained economic revival. The budget has announced a wish list without allocating anything additional for agriculture. The idea of encouraging natural farming was announced first in 1920 budget. The actual spending on national mission on natural farming last year was rupees 100 crore, even though the allocation was rupees 459 crore. This year, even this has been reduced to rupees 366 crore. The total budget allocated for all agricultural research institute, including ICAR and NAAS and agricultural universities, has declined compared to last year. Of the 8 schemes as part of the first priority of productivity and resilience in agriculture, none has seen an increase in budgetary allocation. While fertilizer and food subsidies have seen lower allocation, even the PM Kisan has not seen any increase in yearly transfers since 19. For the broader rural economy too, there is hardly any increase in allocations. The lifetime during the COVID pandemic and the slowdown, Manrega has seen a decline compared to the actual spending in 22-23, and the same as last year's revised spending. Given the important role it plays in raising rural wages, it could have been the instrument to improve incomes in rural areas. Dozens of Democratic lawmakers plan to skip Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to Congress on Wednesday, expressing dismay over the thousands of civilian deaths and the humanitarian crisis from Israel's campaign in Gaza. Netanyahu will make a record 4th speech to a joint meeting of the Senate and House of Representatives, passing British leader Winston Churchill, who made 3 such speeches. Netanyahu's speech was expected to focus on coordinating the Israeli and the US response to the volatile situation in the Middle East, where there is a growing danger of the Gaza war spilling over into a wider regional conflict. US Vice President Kamala Harris assailed Donald Trump Tuesday at her first campaign tally since replacing President Joe Biden as the Democratic presidential candidate, while a Reuters Sports opinion poll showed her taking a marginal lead over the Republican rival. In a 17-minute speech, Harris aggressively went after Trump's vulnerabilities, comparing her background as a former prosecutor to his record as a convicted felon. Harris ticked though a list of liberal priorities, saying that if elected she would act to expand abortion access, make it easier for workers to join unions and address gun violence. Drawing a sharp contrast with Trump, the Republican nominee for president in the November 5 election. Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, she told a cheering crowd of several thousands in Wisconsin, a battleground state with the pivotal role in deciding the election outcome. Do we want to live in a country of freedom, compassion and a rule of law, or a country of chaos, fear and hate? Speaking about her record as though a prosecutor in California, Harris said she took on predators of all kinds, predators who abused women, fraudsters who ripped off consumers, cheaters who broke the rules for their own gain. So hear me when I say I know Donald Trump's type, Harris said a day after she secured the support of a majority of Democratic delegates, paving the way for her to become the party's presidential nominee. She emphasized her commitment to reproductive rights, an issue that has plagued Republicans since the US Supreme Court, powered by 3 Trump-appointed justices, eliminated a nationwide right to abortion in 2022. In a conference call with reporters on Tuesday, Trump expressed confidence in his ability to defeat Harris, noting that her previous presidential run in 2020 did not even survive until the first statewide nominating contest. Trump offered to debate Harris, multiple times I want to debate her and she will know different because they have the same policies, Trump said. Biden said on X that he would deliver a Wednesday night Oval Office speech explaining his decision to end his campaign.